All right. Welcome everyone to the April 24th Dev Call. We have a brief agenda today, so we'll try to keep this short and sweet and hope to see a lot of you at FarCon next week. All right. Cool. Um, Priorities, we're still going to go through this in the same structure, crypto social protocol, mostly updates from progress on last week, and we'll kind of talk through what we're building here. So the first thing is like our focus is still on growing wallet usage. We're focused on getting more and more people with funded wallets because that's valuable to mini apps and developers. So we have over 95,000 funded wallets at this point on the Workcast, and we're going to continue to focus on growing that number even more. We've been doing a bunch of UX improvements that's been helping mini app devs. So one of the big things we've done is just make a lot of transactions gasless. So Daniel on the team had this really good feature where we will swap funds from USDC into ETH or whatever currency you need in order to complete your transaction. So you are much less likely to see the I don't have enough funds on the right chain error anymore. Like things are just going to work. The other thing that we are working on, still early, no release date yet, but we're hoping to bring the wallet over to web sometime soon. So that's been another big thing that we've been focused on. So you can actually use your mini apps right from your web browser, in addition to using them, or at least for transactions, right from your web browser, in addition to using them on mobile. Second focus is on continuing to make mini apps better. We've shipped a bunch of dev tools and improvements since the last time we spoke. Better dev tools, better analytics. We have more ideas for analytics and things that will help devs. But the main focus for this week is making mini apps more shareable. And so the thing that we want to focus on is giving mini apps a canonical link. So once you register your manifest, you actually get some kind of link that you can share. It will open as a mini app when you post it inside of Farcaster. It will open as a nice open graph embed with the landing page when you open it outside. So it becomes something that you can share more easily with your friends and get people to join Farcaster via the mini app. So really focused on making that experience feel good for the rest of this week. Last note, we are thinking about deprecating frames v1. And we're going to put out some casts on this to collect more feedback. Would also love to hear feedback from this group if anyone has any thoughts. Linda's actually reached out to almost all the developers actively building on the ecosystem. I think 90 or 95% of folks are not using V1 anymore. And I think we're at a point where V2 supports almost everything, or mini apps now supports almost everything we need. So the goal is to migrate everyone over to this new standard to avoid the complexity of, look, am I building a frame or a mini app, and just have everyone building on the net new standard. We're going to make sure people have enough time to migrate. I think at this point, we've already supported the V1 for 6 months after V2 launched. We'll probably give it another few months and make sure we handhold everyone through. If you have a V1 frame and you can't upgrade it or you don't have the resources to upgrade it, let us know. We're happy to talk you through what we can do to help and move over to the new world. And if there's features missing or things we're blocked on, we can also work through that stuff. Cool. So I'll make a cast with like more details and specifics, but broad strokes, we're thinking 3 more months before we deprecate frames v1, and then we can help everybody support through that, and it'll still continue to work in apps until July of this year. Cool. Just let me read through the comments. So on the frame side, generally everyone is happy. On the mini app home link side, mini app link homepage is a WebCast specific link or protocol wide link. I think the goal for it is to be a farcaster.xyz link. So it's actually something that you have as like, hey, this is a Farcaster mini app and you can share it out. In terms of like what app is invoked when you click on it, I think that's something we're still working through the details of, but we want it to feel like a link that anybody can share and be like, hey, check out this mini app. It opens up. It's the easiest experience to get into signing up and using that mini app. Cool. Any other questions on wallets, mini apps, the old frames, or anything before we move forward?
I guess from a curiosity standpoint, is there anything you can share about any V1 frame developers that have had really big pushback for a reason that isn't just like them not doing the work?
I
I
can
don't.
share that if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
I think the main pushback has been around the one-click minting or poll experience. So we had like Zora and Ponder say that they preferred V1 frames with the one click.
Yeah, I think the main feedback has been people like the multi-button. So like some folks want to have like two or three links because they're like, hey, this feature is really important to our app. In practice, what we've noticed is that conversions and usage just gets much higher when you actually load a web view for like 99% of things. There's only a small set of cases where like actually the multi-button actions make sense. So this is a simplification that I think will benefit most apps. The other thing is Linda pointed out is one-click actions, which there might be a way we can actually bring that into the new standard. But for better or for worse, like even Pondor has moved towards a mini app and has like this whole new application that's built in there. So I think everyone is kind of moving away from that standard. The one thing that I will say, an experience that we think is still subpar, and we just have to figure out a way to fix this, is polls. I think if you look at X polls, they have this really nice thing of like the poll is there, you have four buttons, you can click them, you see the results instantly. And whether it's with Frames V1 or whether it's with mini apps, like polls require just more clicks to do. And that's something that's like, it's not high enough priority that we're going to go try to fix it today, but it's something that we might actually build like a custom standard for that is different from the mini app standard to be like, okay, this is how you do polls in a native way at some point in the cycle. But outside of polls, I think almost everything else is served pretty well through the mini app model. Okay, just seeing if there are any questions. Okay, no, great. All right, we'll go over to social. So big thing on social is we have this storage redenomination. I mean, it's a protocol level change, but worth talking about in the context of social, where I shared this FIP last week, but let me actually bring this up so that we can look at it. And the basic idea behind the storage redenomination is that we want to make it easier for users to sign up on Farcaster. So one of the problems we have right now is we have this $2 fee everyone gets hit with, and there's a set of users that would probably sign up if that fee were lower. But more importantly, there's a set of apps that would start sponsoring users if that fee gets lower. And our model here is like, look, TikTok and a bunch of other social apps onboard users by verifying phone numbers, which costs, roughly 5 cents. And if you're willing to pay 5 cents to onboard a user and you've been able to onboard billions, that's completely viable to create a new social network. And that's the point where apps can start underwriting users. So we're running two experiments here. One is on the protocol side, we want to bring down the fees. So we have these smaller storage units. And the idea is that everyone who signs up after this goes live starts with a smaller storage unit. And then apps or other things can bump and upgrade them to larger storage sizes as needed. Now, the nice thing about this approach is that it will let people get in more smoothly with a smaller payment up front, and then apps can do the work to bump it up. And again, if all apps have wallets, it's actually very easy to ask for payment. In a prior world where we didn't have wallets, we were always cautious about like, hey, let's give the user as much storage as they would need. Now we can take the approach of like most people won't exceed this, and when that happens, either the app can sponsor the second unit if it's a valuable user, or the user can like tap a button and pay from Warplet or Base Wallet or whatever, and it's going to be this very smooth experience where you can one-click upgrade to get to the next level. So that gives us a lot more confidence in doing smaller storage units. We also think we're also going to bring the price down to 20 cents, and we want to test like what is the spam, like how much spam do we get at this price level and understand how that works. And we might continue pushing it further as we're more confident in Snapchain's uptime and as we're more confident in the ability to control and limit spam on the network. Let me pause here and see if anyone has any questions. Okay. The second thing that we're going to experiment on the product side, and we're going to start, we've actually started doing this, it went live yesterday, is allowing people to sign up for free with an X account. So the thing that we want to test is, hey, if you have other social accounts, is there a minimum level of signal at which we, Warpcast, are willing to underwrite you and say, hey, we'll pay the storage on your behalf? And I suspect that this is something other apps will start to do. Storage fees are still high, so we're paying $2 a user, so we're keeping our limits pretty aggressive right now. So you need to have an X account that is at least a year old and that has at least 50 followers. And we're going to play around with these numbers a little bit to get to a point where we're like, hey, if you have an X account with this and this, you'll be able to get it. Over time, it would be ideal to bring in other socials as well. Our early experiments with Discord, GitHub have not been that helpful in terms of getting signals. GitHub, because not that many people have it. Discord just didn't correlate very well with any kind of spam prevention. It's just like anyone can make a Discord account. And so X seems to be the primary thing for now, but we might experiment with Meta, especially as Threads gets bigger. And other forms of auth to see if you can sign up for free. This is something that I think every client should think about experimenting with, which is giving your users, like if a valuable user comes to your client, give them a free pass to get on the platform. And the thing that we do is publish all of these verifications to the protocol, so you don't have to double count accounts. You know that, hey, Warpcast already verified this X account, so you're not going to give them a free account. You know they already have an account. There's no reason for them to get another one. Cool. Any questions on this? Okay, sweet. So we'll keep moving down the list here. We already talked about storage redenomination and the free signups. I think this is an experiment we did last week, so let me eliminate this item. And the other things that we're working on right now is actually redoing the new user experience on Warpcast. So one of the things that we do right now is we have this feed. As soon as many of you probably have not gone through the sign up flow recently. It has likely changed a lot since when you first signed up. But for the folks who have gone through it more recently, the current new user experiences, we land you on a feed. It's sort of like cherry picked to be people that you are more likely to recognize and likely to click follow on. So we largely do this through like, hey, here's some folks that are like, popular on crypto Twitter. So let's show them to you. And then we ask you to choose the people that you want to follow. The downside of this approach is it required a lot of scrolling through the feed, looking at accounts, clicking them. And so we have a much more succinct approach now where we are going to nudge you and we're going to say, hey, based on the interest that you chose in onboarding, and ideally, if we get Twitter data, we might be able to like pull in some follow graph and stuff. We're like, here are 100 users. Can you follow at least 10 to build your initial graph? And so some combination of people you recognize because you follow them on another network, people that are active and posting content on Farcaster, will come into this list, and this will help get you your first 10 follows. And that's something that we really want to drive because sub 10 follows, I think your feed is still pretty generic and a lot of people complain, and we want to like push as much as possible to get to that. The second thing that we want to focus on with Nux, we haven't done this yet, is how do we also get users to have a funded wallet? And so one of the other things we're going to likely push is how can we get every valuable user to move at least $10 into their Warplet so that they have funds to use in frames, to participate in actions, to participate in mini apps. And that's going to be the second focus of new user onboarding. So that is the new focus for what we're going to try to get every new user towards, to make them valuable to the network, to make the network valuable to them, and to make them also addressable users for mini apps. There is a public API for mini app builders for the Warpcast Rewards leaderboard. If you go to docs.farcaster.xyz and just search for Warpcast reference API, there is going to be a link there. We publish each week's leaderboard winners out there that you can pull. All right, if there's no other questions, I'm going to pop over to talk about Snapchain really quickly. Okay, Snapchain it is. So Snapchain rollout has been coming along. We've run into a couple of peering and syncing issues as more nodes have come online. And I think one of the issues we're trying to deal with is peers that are faulty that we cannot reach. So Sanjay and Aditi have been working through a bunch of peering issues. Sanjay, do you want to give the quick tactical update on like what the issue we're dealing with right now is?
Yeah, basically, as more nodes have come on, we randomly select peers to sync from if you're behind. And so if you even have like 1 or 2 nodes that are unreachable, we hit like 1 to 2 second timeouts fetching 1 block. And that really slows down sync, which this has been the main issue that people are running into with slow sync. So we've put in some mitigations where like the nodes will only connect to validators for now, but that doesn't really scale. And so we have like another fix going out today which will kick out bad peers and should improve sync. This only affects nodes when you are behind. Once you're caught up, you should be fine. But yeah, like once you're behind and you are connected to a bad peer, like you run into this issue. So we'll have like a release out today with this fix. And we'll continue to monitor. I think we'll need to iterate a few more as the network expands, and we'll see what other issues come up.
Cool. And so stepping back in terms of Snapchain timelines, I think the thing that we are feeling really good about is from a block building message validation perspective, Snapchain has actually been doing really well. All of the data is migrated over. We're moving towards deprecating Hubble, and we think everything will publish on Snapchain. From a peering network and uptime perspective, I think we've hit a bunch of rough patches this week. My mental model here is that we will likely run into a few more issues with peering. There's just stuff that we are only going to discover when we have hundreds of nodes running in production that we haven't been able to simulate. So just to set expectations, I suspect that there will be a few more bumpy points over the next few weeks as we iron this out. If you were on Hubble in the early days, you remember there was a similar 1 to 2 month period when we launched Hubble where we just found a lot of issues with the peer-to-peer network configuration and improved them. So again, if you're running into issues, reach out and let us know. If you need a reliable feed for data and you're like, hey, this is really holding back my app, again, let us know. We can temporarily like work with Nana or work with someone to provide you a data feed straight from the validator if your node is not able to work correctly. But TLDR, if Snapchain's reliability is blocking you, let us know. We are happy to work around and fix something. And we're confident that in a few weeks, things will be very, very stable. They're likely going to be stable right now, but if another 100 or 1,000 nodes spin up, we may see cracks or seams that we need to go patch up. Cool. In terms of deprecation timeline, I think we are working towards the same timeline right now. So like end of next week. However, if anyone needs more time or is like, hey, I don't think I can move off of Hubble, I'm still on Hubble, please let us know ASAP. We're happy to extend the timeline and or work with you to speed things up, whatever is necessary here. But if we don't hear from anybody, the default plan is we are going to deprecate it by the end of next week. Okay, let me look through the chat. Yes, we do use libp2p. That's been our primary networking layer, both for Hubble and for Snapchain. There's some migrated username proofs that still need to be pushed. Cool. Thanks for that ping, Chris. We will look into that one. If you know any others that have issues, please let us know. If that's the only one you've got, that's fine. We can take a look at it. Cool. Any other questions on Snapchain? Sweet. There's one question. What have you learned from trending topics so far? They've actually worked better than I thought they would. So the way we build trending topics, just to give folks an overview, is we effectively take casts from some set of like non-spammy users. So think of everyone who's gotten a 2 rating on the Warpcast spam labels, and we feed it into an LLM and like rough strokes, ask it to categorize it into a few different topics. There's a lot of massaging that went into how to get it to spit out a certain set of topics, but it's able to produce a bunch of like, hey, this is about, phishing or whatever. And we still do manual review every day because sometimes it spits out 2 topics that are like related, but they should really be the same topic. So we do a little editorialization every day to say like, okay, these are the sort of shapes of things. Let's reduce this to 1 word and ship it. And generally, we feel like it's been pretty good in terms of surfacing new metas, getting people up to date with like something new that's happening. So I think the trending topic identification feels good. I think there's still some work to do on the feeds. If you look at X and other apps, they have like a recent feed and a top feed. So you have like more flexibility in how you can search through it. So I think we need to make some of those improvements. Right now, we just kind of have 1 mega feed. But yeah, generally feel like that experiment has gone pretty well. Yep. Let's see. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to call, last night I did a bunch of mini app reviews, going all the way back up to crypto. goal here is for us to play around with more mini apps and to give you feedback on how you can integrate better with Farcaster, and for us to get feedback on missing APIs and things that we can do to get your experience better. So if you're working on a mini app, you want me to spend a few minutes playing around with it and share live public feedback, I have a cast out. I'll share the link here. And if you just reply to that with a mini app, I will play around with it and give you feedback on it. Let me just share the link really quickly. Oh, thanks, Linda. And if you want to see other videos I've recorded, if you're building mini apps and want to know what the most common issues people run into are, there's a second link here which has all the videos of mini apps that I reviewed. I'll make a post with like the top learnings from all of this sometime once I'm done with all the reviews. Okay. So anyone else want to add anything or any other last questions before we wrap for the week? All right. Thanks everyone for coming out, and excited to see many of you at FarCon next week. All right. See you later.